Hey, shalom, shalom, shalom. Mr. Brother Bayan here to give you a quick lesson. Prior to get started, I want to give infinite honors and prayers to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS who taught me this truth. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect, Yuakim, Yuakwath, which is you brothers and sisters in the Hebrew that believe. Okay? And I'm just going to hop in a fairly quick lesson. It's going to be titled on the basis of I don't expect my oppressor to give me freedom. Okay? I don't expect my oppressor to give me freedom. All right? Because, again, 2/3 of our people, they're stuck in this world, man. All right? And they're constantly, looking over their shoulder and hoping for, some type of law to get passed, or whatever to help the betterment of their living conditions. Okay, but it's never going to be the case. Okay, it's never going to be 100% correct. All right, because again, our the devil, Esau Edom, he is completely contrary to everything of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Okay, so it shouldn't be in your mind any type of way that you would think that your enemy will do anything to really help you. Okay, it's a no-brainer. All right, but just a couple precepts that I have going into of these people are never going to be for us. All right, this is another reason why we should keep our hope and faith into Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, because the Lord is the only person that's going to come back and rearrange and change all these laws. All right, be it done away with all these unrighteous, doings of the wicked. Okay, and making it to our kingdom where everything is going to be righteous. Okay, but I'm gonna kick it off with Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 13. It says, "Consider the work of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, for who can make that straight which he had made crooked?" All right. And again, that's erasing that hope, man. Erasing that hope in Esau Edom. Esau Edom is not your God. Esau Edom is not your power. All right? And Jake need to know that, because Jake treats Esau Edom as their God. All right? And again, that's their agenda that they're pushing to make themselves as God. It's in the book of Obadiah. And I forget the other book what it mentions, that it exalts itself as Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. Esau Edom is not our power, okay? And it's only going to lead to destruction if you continue to lean on your enemy. That's a no-brainer, man. You lean on your enemy for help. What do you think is going to happen? The enemy has you right in a position that he wants to have you in, and it's going to lead to destruction, man. Okay, but again, it says Ecclesiastes 7:13. Consider the work of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, who can make that straight which he hath made crooked. Okay, and the Lord made Esau Edom crooked. All right, he is not an upright man. All right, he is the basis of men. He's the bottom of the bottom. Okay, he's the Esau Edom, the so-called white man, ain't shit. Okay, needless to say, with words, he's nothing for you to keep your hope on. All right, because everything, like the elder down here in New Orleans, he loves to say, name one thing that the white man did. Name one thing good that the white man did. Salakia, anything in that manner. It's nothing that Esau Edom has ever done that has been beneficial to the world. It's just been complete destruction. That's why the world is in the position where it's in. Losing resources and so on and so forth. And having to find alternate resources to help this resource because they didn't use it too much, and so on and so forth. It's just constant wickedness, man. They're abusing this world that we live in. All right, and that's why we need Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai to come back immediately, as soon as possible, ASAP, to to help us, man, to get us out of this hellhole. Okay? But this is the book of my next precept is the book of I'm gonna hit this Psalms. This is Psalms 83:1. It says, "Keep not thou silence, O God, hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God. For lo, thy enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. For they have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, Come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent, they are confederate against thee." Okay, and if you was to continue down in this precept, you know, it's going to name all the nations, you know, that's in cahoots with Esau, Edom. All right, because again, we know that, you know, if you're not one of these of the 12 tribes, you know, everybody else is against us. Everybody is well familiar with our power. Okay, it's through the histories, it's through the scriptures. You know, every nation didn't have their foot on our necks, and they're very familiar with our power because the Lord has constantly been taking us in and out of captivity. You know, but again, it says, verse 4, they have come and let us cut the. It's like they have said, "Come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel be no more in remembrance." All right. So if you're knowing, you know, this is the case, you know, why would you put your trust in the devil, Esau, Edom? Why would you put your trust in somebody that's in cahoots with other nations to keep you oppressed? You know, to keep you down in that lower estate. You know, to continue to put out laws to affect you. You know, it just doesn't make sense, man. Okay, but I got one more precept, and I'm gonna end it off with this. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 31:1. It says, "Woe to them that go down to Egypt for help, and stay on horses, and trust in chariots, because they are many, and in horsemen, because they are very strong. But they look not unto the Holy One of Israel, neither seek the Lord." Okay, and you know, Egypt here, you know, it's going into the spiritual Egypt, you know, Sodom and Egypt, you know, which the Lord calls this place in the book of Revelations. Okay, spiritual Sodom and Egypt. You know, we in a revised, you know, Roman Empire, you know, with this thing going on. Okay, but at the end of the day, again, Egypt goes into bondage. Okay, so we're in a bondage again, you know, because obviously we escaped that first Egypt captivity, but you know, we're here now again in, you know, revised. You know, it's going to be Egypt, Sodom, and Rome, and everything is just the biggest mixture of all of these, you know, kingdoms, you know, together, you know, for ultimately to keep us in captivity. Okay, but continuing on, it says, so like not continuing on, but it says again, "But they look not unto the Holy One of Israel, neither seek the Lord." Okay, you know, our people don't look into Yahweh Shema Shah for help. Okay, they just get caught up in the mixture of everything. Okay, and it's you know, it's madness for people to think that, again, their enemy is going to help them. You know, it doesn't make sense. Okay, and we ultimately know too that again, that America is the daughter of Babylon. All right, that's another part of it. You know, you have the revised Roman Empire, you know, which is another lesson in itself. But again, you know, Babylon at the beginning, obviously we know Babylon wasn't Egypt, but you know, this is the daughter of Babylon. All right, so it's a continuation of all of these captivities that we've been in. Okay, but it says, Isaiah 31:2, "Yet he also is wise, and will bring evil, and will not call back his words, but will arise against the house of the evildoers, and against the help of them that work iniquity. Now the Egyptians are men and not God, and their horse is flesh and not spirit. When the Lord shall stretch out his hand, both he that helpeth shall fall, and he that hoping shall fall down, and they shall all fail together. All right? And there's no standing against Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai at the end of the day, man. You know, you can't stand against the will of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. All right? And you're trusting into men. You know, you're trusting into men, wicked men at that. You know, to think that they're going to be, you know, pass some type of law for you to be, you know, just extravagant in living the life that you could ever live. No. The whole duty of this devil is to keep you constantly oppressed. All right? You're never going to get away from it if you're dealing with Esau, Edom. All right? And you have to know that. All right? You have to know that, because again, once we get into our power, you know, once we get into ruling, you know what I'm saying? You think we're going to allow these heathens to get anywhere close to us? No. No, because the Lord has ordained us to have, you know, these laws, statutes, and commandments, for us to have this knowledge and wisdom, okay? And it's only for us. So when we receive that baton to go ahead and proceed and continue to run, you think we're going to look back and going to give this shit to the heathen? Like, come on, man. So why would you think that these heathen has us in the position that we're in right now? You know, I mean, ultimately the Lord has in this position that we're in, but he's using Esau, Edom. You think this devil is going to give up his authority easily? No, he's not. Okay, he's not going to give up anything. So he's going to continue to oppress. You know, just to keep, you know, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans in that lower estate mindset. But the Lord came through just as he said he would, and threw a wrench at the Esau Edom's plans, you know, and brought us back to our right mind, you know, the 1/3, you know, the people that's going to have that understanding and have that 144% faith in Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. Okay, so that's where we lay our hope. We lay our hope in Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, because we know that the Lord will come back. All right, it's written, and we know that it's going. It's written, and we know and believe that it's going to happen. Okay, so you know, that was pretty much it. You know, just wanted a little 1-2 punch. You know, quick combo of a you know fairly which I would believe to be a good edifying lesson. You know, and I pray that it's edifying. You know, but again, you know, I don't expect my oppressor to give me freedom. Okay, I put all my hope and faith into Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, and I pray that you brothers and sisters that's, you know, watching and that believe also into the same thing that I do. Okay, but again, I pray that this lesson was edifying. Praying to get out of here, I want to give infinite honors and prayers to Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai B'Shem Rakakodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS who taught me this truth. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect, you Akim, you Akwat, which you brothers and sisters in Hebrew that believe. And Shalom.